Hey Susan, today this is the first episode of HallowQueen, my Halloween YouTube drag queen series. Oh no, anyway, first episode, we are doing colored foundation. I have started with my eyebrows blocked so that doesn't take up time. And I'm going to show you how I mix my foundation colors to actually get them the shade I want. And I'm also going to show you how to apply it and get it believable and sculpted and convincing and just possible. Because, like, obviously it's not going to be convincing, but it's going to look correct, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do all the foundation in this video, and then the next video is actually going to be me turning into Juno Birch. If the pink foundation doesn't work out, I'm going to do blue foundation a different way, because I don't have an actual blue cake. This one's red, and I think if I mix the red with my clown white, because what I do is I mix everything in with a clown white on the back of my hand, and then I whack it onto my face, and that's kind of how I mix my foundations. And I just kind of like play around with the consistency until I'm kind of happy with it. Now my eyebrow coverage is kind of shite because I shaved them off completely, and now I'm only shaving the tails, and this is kind of like half grown back, and the shorter the eyebrows are and the newer the eyebrow hair is, the harder it is to glue down. You kind of want longer brows are easier because they're trained, and then they're also like more surface area the glue can adhere to. I'm going to just start by whacking a decent amount of clown white onto my hand. Like, it's a lot of clown white, but clown white's fairly cheap. I think it was like $10 for that whole tub. And I'm gonna mix a little bit of red in, just that much red, like that much white. That's kind of how I'm eyeballing it. I'm gonna add more red to make it just a little bit pinker, you know, because once we powder it, which is something a lot of people don't consider, when you powder it, it will go lighter and more pastel naturally. Ooh, that's a pretty pink. I'm not sure what shade it's showing up on camera, but in person it's kind of like a strawberry icing. Anyway, I'm going to start slapping this on. I'm going to start in the middle of the face and work the way out for the most part. No, the reason I mix so much foundation, which seems very excessive, when you're doing colored foundation you need to use a lot more because you need full coverage to actually get it to work. Oh, also, if you do pinks and reds, your skin's probably going to be stained because unless it's a non-vegetarian / vegan formulation, the red dye is like, oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but essentially the red dye is technically non-eye safe because it stains, even though it's perfectly fine to put there, it's not going to make you blind or anything. Because the eye approved and eye safe one is carmine, which is crushed bug. And I'm just kind of starting to tap it around a little bit with the flat brush, even though like we're not going to blend it out with the flat brush. I'm just kind of getting it everywhere so we can blend it out. Oh, and like, don't forget the ears. The ears are kind of important. Now I'm going to take a buffing brush. I'm just going to stipple everything into place. Like, I know this brush is intended to be like swelled. However, I find that takes away from the coverage and leaves you with a worse texture when you're using grease paints. And just general colored foundations tend to be thicker if you're using like a TV stick or a mehron creamed lens stick or any other types of colored foundation. You get a better finish stippling. That's a really nice pink. I kind of almost don't want to make it lighter and set it, but also it's kind of incredibly greasy because grease paint, even down the neck I'm stippling. Now, the reason I'm not using a beauty blender like I normally do is because colored foundation is going to fuck up your beauty blender, and we don't want that. And also I find sponges pick up too much product when you're doing colored foundation. So even though the texture can sometimes look better, it will make the foundation itself look patchy. I'm just going to swell a little bit in the ear, just to kind of distribute it everywhere. Now, my face is looking very, very, very flat. So now we're going to start adding highlights to kind of emphasize where we want to be emphasized. I don't like to do cream contours. When I'm doing colored foundation, I only like to do the cream highlights. When I'm doing like colored foundations. Also, you will notice my eyes look kind of yellow. The whites and my teeth look very yellow. That's because when you do like pastel foundations and like lighter foundations, the white looks less white and looks more yellowy. Like you can't, it's not as drastic as it will be at the end. At the end, when my face is very light and pastel, my teeth will look like shit. That's why a lot of queens that wear colored foundation all the time get teeth whitening or veneers or things to essentially make their teeth look blue so that it corrects to white when it's got the colored foundation on, because you can get little clip-in boys. Anyway, now taking the white foundation, I'm going to take this brush. It's just like a flat paddle brush that we haven't used because I don't want to fuck up the white foundation. And we're just going to place this where we want it, being just a little bit conservative with the placement, because remember, this spreads out. You want to add this to all the high points of your face or your character's face, depending on what you're doing. Now, generally, you want the lightest points to be the nose and the under eye. I'm also going to do some white just on the eye to make it a little bit lighter so it's more friendly for eyeshadow. Oh yeah, also, putting on grease paint feels absolutely disgusting. And quite often wearing it feels absolutely disgusting compared to normal makeup, so be prepared. I kind of look like Miss Piggy. No. Let's tap this in. And I like to start on the point I want to be slightly less light when I'm tapping, because then the pink that's left over on the brush will dilute it more. Now we're stippling, so tapping up, down, up, down, up, down. We're not swirling. Honestly, if you guys are game and want to be washing your hands in between every single step, fingers make a really great tool for creams because they also warm everything up. But I don't want to be getting up and down constantly and cleaning off my hands every single time I want to grab a brush later on. Now what I like to do is I'm going to get a little concealer brush, a little flat top concealer brush. I'm going to go right into the white just a little bit, just very lightly. Tap a little bit off of my hand, and I like to go right in the inner corner. I'm just really adding extra brightness just to the inside corner. And I'm just going to tap out anywhere I see any wrinkling or anything happening. And now we're going to set it. So how I like to set these is I like to use a no color set foundation, no color set powder that is definitely not just talcum powder, because talcum powder is not safe for your breathing, really. But like, as long as you don't breathe it in and you didn't hear this from me, it's fine. I'm just packing that powder on everywhere. You also will need more powder than normal because A, it's a greasy foundation. B, you want to make sure your puff always has powder on it, because otherwise there is a chance that something wet could stick to the puff and bring up everything you've just done. Which is another reason you want extra time to account for any errors that could happen. And now that that's done, I'm actually going to put more onto a fluffy brush, just in case I haven't set everything, and I'm going to brush it off with the extra powder. I forgot to prime it, but anyway, if you do want to prime, which you don't honestly have to, you don't want to focus on pore filling. What you want to focus on is regulating the oil levels so that the oil doesn't mix with the grease paint and make it even greasier. I've got dry skin, so that's fine. I would have moisturized so all the powder doesn't dry me out, but worst case scenario, I get dried out. Now I'm going to go over the contouring here, but not the blush, because really, blush is up to you. You're being a stunning alien. Literally, your blush could be any color pretty much, and you'd be able to get away with it, because people don't really properly understand how skin works. So they'll just be like, oh, that looks fine. That's not fine. I just go pink in the middle of my foundation. But I'm not gonna fix that. I'm just going to put powder over it and make it as light as possible. Now, we're going to start the contouring. So, I'm gonna start with this actual blush shade. I'm gonna take it on a nice fluffy brush, and I'm just gonna go and start stippling it in place. I really like to stipple as much as possible with grease paints because they have a tendency to come up a lot easier than other foundations. And remember how shadows work. Shadows are a little bit cooler toned typically than everything else. So if you're going like really realistic, you want to use a cooler toned version of the color. I'm kind of just going for like drag realistic, which is really anything goes. So I'm trying with that, and I'm going into the eyeshadows. I'm gonna go into just like another pink shade, honestly, and just like, I need to stop saying honestly. Say you're talking to me honestly. What? But you're lying to me constantly. Oh. And I'm also just like whacking that up in the top corners of my face. Not even to contour, just to like add dimension. Because really what it's mainly about is making your character, well, you I guess, look as three-dimensional as possible. And also, cause I can, I'm just gonna chisel my jaw a little bit. I'm doing a little more round than my jaw is, but still more square than I normally do. And now, to add highlights, I'm gonna take the Juno. No, I'm not gonna take the Juno Shells palette. I'm gonna take a white powder foundation because it's a little bit less pigmented. More pigmented, what am I saying? I'm gonna take that on a little highlighter brush. This is the Real Techniques contour brush. I use it for highlight. Normally, like my shimmery highlight, I'm just gonna set anywhere I want to be very lifted with that white foundation. So one of the biggest tricks with colored foundations is you always want very light points and really dark points, like very light points. Otherwise, you look more flat. So you have to go more extreme with your contours and highlights, even if you're not going in with drag. And really, highlight sculpts the face more than the contour does. So, because I want more chiseling in the cheeks, I'm going to take a darker pink. And I'm just gonna tap and pocket it right in the bottom corner. Because then what that's going to do is it's going to give the whole line just a little bit more strength without the whole line looking more present. It also adds to the realism because the outer pockets of contours, because they're always furthest in, always look the most heavy. So now we're going to start on the nose. I'm going to take a little chubby brush. Where's the little chubby brush? This is the Jessup All Over Shader brush. It looks like this. I'm going to go into a pretty light pink, but not over. Actually, I'm just going to go into a maxi blush. So it's a Rimmel maxi blush. It's just a darker pink. Pretty much all powder products are powder products. You can use blush on your eyes. You can use eyeshadow as blush. Do whatever you like. And essentially, what I'm doing here is I'm just creating a straight line that's kind of blended. Because even though we're doing unnatural skin tones, we still want a smaller nose. And now what we're going to do to seal the nose contour, which yes, that was very fast because you want the nose to be softer than the cheek contour. You don't want to like layer it up too much. And what we're going to do to sell it is we're going to go in with our white foundation and just carefully highlight everywhere in the middle. And this is literally it for the contouring. You can go over here a little bit if you want. You can do a line up here with a little bit of pink, which is going to snatch the face upwards a little bit more. But the rest is really down to your character. So what color blush would your character have? Would it still just have a pink blush? Would it have a green blush? Would it have like a more bluey tone blush? What would it do depending on what its skin tone is and what the character's undertones are and everything like that. And just artistic choices. Anyway, That's it. Ooh, stunning. God, ooh. Next video will be out probably tomorrow because I'm trying to do it across like bam, 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 and it will be a Juno Birch makeup tutorial that starts like this. Ooh, teehee. Bye, Susan.